Why big fish are bad in tournaments, scented crankbaits are coming, and walleyes are eating birds now, who'd have thought? We got all that and more coming up right now on Target Walleye's Top 5 presented by Seafoam. Let's dive on in. Number 1. Let's kick this off with a little rant of the day. I will never ever get over the fact that to win most walleye tournaments, you need to be the best at catching the smallest fish. Let that soak in for a second.
What did you say?
Example, in Minnesota walleye tournaments that are not catch photo release format, you're only allowed to have one fish over 20 inches per person, and sometimes you're only allowed to have one fish over 20 inches for your whole tourney bag, even though it's a two-person team. One fish over 20 inches. That means the whole rest of your limit needs to be under smaller eater-sized fish. So catching these things is typically going to be more important than being on big fish when it comes game day. Oh, and you might as well just cut your line if you catch one of these things in Minnesota during a tournament. I understand that lakes and states do have slot limits, and so in the olden days, that's just how tournaments worked. But it's not the olden days, and so now with technology readily available to be able to measure, photo, release those fish, it just kind of seems wrong to be penalizing the teams who are dialed into the bigs. Imagine this. Imagine you just had the best day of walleye fishing in your entire life, and it was during a tournament, and you and your buddy caught 10 or 20 walleyes that were 24 to 28 inches long, but then you can only weigh one of those, or maybe, if you're lucky, two of those in for the tournament. You end up losing to a couple of jabronis who weigh 6, 15 to 18 inch walleyes.
Ridiculous!
It'd be like fishing a bass tournament where you're only allowed to weigh one bass over 3 pounds and all the rest of your limit has to be 12 to 14 inches. Can you imagine? Okay, I'm done venting for now. Just remember.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Number 2. So, walleyes eat birds now, or I guess they always have, but there's finally proof or something like that? I was sent this picture from Jeff, who said his buddy Nate caught the 21-inch walleye while jigging on Lake of the Woods, the South Shore, in 23 feet of water. Obviously, it has some sort of a bird foot coming out of its mouth, and they weren't sure what kind of a bird it was, but it's pretty incredible no matter how you look at it. It's also cool to see walleyes getting a little revenge on the birdies because we know that cormorants and pelicans definitely eat their fair share, so fight back, buddies. Number 3. So earlier this summer, I went down to ICAST in Florida, which is basically like the fishing industry trade show where we get a kind of a first look at all the new fishing lures and fishing stuff coming down the pipeline for next season. One of those cool new things that stood out to me immediately at the show is that Berkley is coming out with scented flicker shads. Never seen anything like it. Every pack is going to come with Gulp hardbait gel, and it's got what's called scent plus pockets along the side of the crankbait so that the gel sits in there flush with the side. It does not impact the action of the crankbait, and it will slowly disperse and last longer than just trying to glob scent on a crankbait. I'm told it's going to be coming in 2 different sizes. I believe they're number 5s and number 7s, and then their top 10 proven colors already in the Flicker Shad series. I could definitely see it giving that perfect little edge in cold water, finicky situations, and you wouldn't believe how many times and how far a walleye will follow and trail a crankbait, just deciding whether or not it's going to eat it before it does. This might be the thing that turns those sniffers into biters. Number 4. I said I was done ranting, but I completely lied. Pick up your dang trash. I cannot believe how much garbage I see floating around the lakes, piled up on shore at accesses or just along the way. I can't believe I have to say this, but if you bring it out with you, bring it back in. One lazy person can make all the rest of us look like idiots. Of course, it's more than just looking bad. I mean, look at this walleye Sunday that Jeff Lantain caught in Sylvan Lake, Alberta, and that walleye's being choked or strangled by, it looks like a lid from one of those gas station ices. Or how about this one from Adam Turnbull that definitely made me look twice, and no, that's not a number 47 jointed rapala. It's actually what happens when some people have zero respect for our waters. Something as small as what looks like a little Powerade wrapper from the lid can just wreak havoc. And then there's this little North Saskatchewan River sturgeon that Blake O caught with some sort of a rubber gasket around its neck. Luckily, Blake was able to get it off before the next 50-ish years of that fish's life. So a big shout out to those of you that actually pick up after yourselves and also after others, and to the rest of you, grow up.
You filthy animals.
Number 5. You know it's time to go home when even your electronics are laughing at you. That's Scott Matheson doing some side imaging on Devil's Lake, North Dakota, and thanks to some crazy flooding over the years, there is an insane amount of structure and cover to be able to fish on that lake. He said they think it's a corner of an old fence post for the H's, and that the A is probably another fence post that they graphed mid-turn while the boat was pivoting. Either way, it's probably time to head in when both the lake and the fish are literally laughing at you. Speaking of time to head in, that wraps up this week's Top 5. A big shout out to Seafoam for keeping us running smooth, making this video series possible. If you're liking what you're seeing, do me a favor and drop a comment below. And if you want more walleye fishing goodness like this, sign up for our free Target Walleye emails at targetwalleye.com. And I'll see you back in 7.